What's up, guys? My name is Ruslan. I jumped the canal 2 years ago. This guy did it, what, 10 years ago? How long ago was that?
I think it was in 06.
Yeah, so he did it 14 years ago, and watching that video in he did it in a Prerunner, right? Red and black truck.
Yeah, that was a Prerunner.
So I watched that video with him flying over the canal, and then I watched him do it in a black buggy. So watching that video, the next week and after that, I jumped it in a 4-seater right after he did it, because I really, not right after, because it was obviously 14 years later, right?
Yeah, I don't think you were born.
Right? So I ended up jumping it, 14 years later after seeing it on YouTube. And what came to your mind to let you do that?
So I was down the first time in a buggy.
Yep.
A friend of mine, Dustin Dumas, AG Sandcars, built me the car, and I had one of his first cars, and I was jumping it too far, and he told me to stop because he was afraid something was going to happen. So he built me a second car, and the second car was so
it was almost like a play car, right?
It was a Prerunner. It
Okay.
had boxed arms. It was more like a trophy truck
Right.
versus a sand car, right? And when I got it, we started developing stuff and working on it, and it just became like a glove. It was my car,
Right.
and I just felt natural. So a friend of ours was heavy into Supercross. They owned One Industries, and so they had a One Industries guide trip, and that was to meet down at Glamis, normally in April. And it was kind of a friend thing. It wasn't invite everybody. It was
because watching that video, the car was super duper loud. So did that car initially have a lot of horsepower?
It had a turnkey motor in it, and it had a Mendiola tranny in it.
Oh, okay.
And it didn't have a ton of horsepower, but it was naturally aspirated. It didn't have turbo or blower. But I had seen, just like you, I had seen Tommy Clowers and Jeremy McGrath personally jump the canal. And so we were camped next to
bikes?
On dirt bikes. So we were there for 4 days having a horseshoe tournament and a lot of fun. And I started looking at it. And I told my brother, I said, I think I could do it.
Yeah, it's doable.
And so we moved some of the cars in the camp, and my brother took it to a safety. They had scuba divers over on the other side, and he was scared, and I wasn't. And we rolled up to it, and I looked at it, and I just knew that it was totally easy. I went, not easy. It was doable for me. Right. So, and then 3 years later, I bought a Prerunner, a Weitzel Prerunner. I was going to go into off-road racing, and he said we needed that, and that thing was amazing. And we did a lot of work to it. So we go back down the same weekend, but that truck weighs like 6,000 pounds in the sand.
Faster.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was a lot faster in the sand, but anyway, I just started looking at it. So we made some shock changes, slowed the rebound down, and we did the same thing. So it was, for me, it's challenging because you can't make a mistake.
Right.
And you came close. You were very close.
You were saying you had scuba divers, right?
Well, they were guys that had been scuba dive trained.
Oh, okay.
And they were trying, my brother was just nervous. And so they had cars on the other side with ropes. And we kind of went through, if we didn't make it, first thing to do is somebody was going to jump in the water and undo the window net and undo the belts. So that at least they knew. They weren't trying, so they were familiar with it. Because we didn't know what was going to happen, right? But I knew in my mind we were going farther than what we needed to do, right?
Right.
So it was fun.
So when I jumped it, it was just me and my dad.
Right.
So me and him went out to Glamis just to shoot content, and if we jumped the canal, we jumped the canal, because it didn't look as big as it was in person. So looking at it, it was like, this is at least this 80-foot jump, right? Looking at the video, and we arrived and we're just like, we didn't even know what to do, right? So we're just looking at it, and my dad's like, no, it's not doable in your car, let's go find something else. So, I kind of just stood there for a minute and was just like, yeah, but am I gonna end up doing it again because I'm scared? And it was just like the moment of the thing that it's like, I'm not gonna do it again if I don't do it now. So So I hit the canal in that NA 4-seater, but I actually made a mistake coming off the line because I knew how to be full speed. So I missed the throttle pedal because I was trying to punch it. So when I missed it the first time, I ended up slapping it like 2 times before I actually got it. So finally coming full speed, I was like to flat, because you know there's that little drop then go?
That's the old canal.
Right, so that's...
This is so neat.
Yeah, so when I hit it like that, and then the Turbo S, I already knew I had enough power to clear it, but I went full speed anyway. But I still landed halfway down the landing ramp, which was like,
thank
it was
goodness
perfect.
that's tapered.
So, but the I had stock 8 arms, so I just pulled the car off the lot and put a cage on it, and then went and jumped it. So it was bone stock. We put an Evo Power Sports tune on it. It was making like 190 horsepower, and I hit it at full speed and ended up overshooting it. So I mean, we had a lot of fun that day because we ended up doing a lot of other content and stuff like that. But your name is Jeff, correct? Yep. Well, this is Jeff. He jumped the canal 14 years ago again, and it was great talking to you, man.
Yep, good.
Thank you.